Good morning, geeks. It is August 4th, and I am slightly bearded. So today I'd like to talk about a few sci-fi things that I've seen or read recently. A few of my more favorite sci-fi movies or sci-fi books and things of that nature. My most favorite science fiction book, and probably my favorite book of all time, is Ender's Game by Orson Scott Card. I think I've talked about this before, but just from the way it's written, the setup for the book, and especially if you read it a second time around, the way, once you know the ending to the story, then you see how he set everything up throughout the book, and I just think it's a fantastic book. And if you really haven't read it, and you enjoy science fiction things or geeky things in general, you should read it. And if you have, isn't it time you read it again? Another book that lots of sci-fi fans say is really great is Dune, which I read and I personally didn't like that much. It was alright, but it's not, I feel like it's overhyped. It's not the book that so many people say it is, that it's fantastic and amazing, but just my opinion. You might like it. I don't know. Most recently, I finished Rendezvous with Rama by Arthur C. Clarke, which was good. It's kind of a mystery science fiction novel in that there's this cylinder thing that comes near to Earth and they don't know what it is, and inside is a whole world. Some of the concepts are very similar to Ringworld, if you ever read that, but it's still a very good book, although I've heard that some of the sequels to the series have removed some of the mystery from it. The ending's really good, though. It really makes you think and is pretty intriguing because you realize something that's been set up almost through the whole book, but you didn't see it. Very similar to Ender's Game in that aspect. I also recently read the short story by Isaac Asimov, who has fantastic short stories. If you didn't know, he's one of the top science fiction writers of all time, possibly the science fiction writer, the biggest science fiction writer of all time, just because he wrote so much stuff. Anyway, I read Nightfall, which is considered his best short story by some, and it was good. Although if you're not a fan of dialogue and you more prefer action, then that's not the story for you. I'd probably go with his iRobot collection of short stories that has more action in some of the stories. Some are dialogue still, but that's his style. Also, the story The Last Question, which I personally think is his best story, because again, the ending is unexpected. I go for that sort of thing. If you're interested in checking out either of those Asimov stories, Nightfall or The Last Question, Nightfall is available on the Escape Pod podcast. Just Google it. It's Escape Pod. It's a pun, kind of. And then The Last Question, I think just Google that and the text is available freely online to find. Bree will be here tomorrow. She's got a punishment to do, so be sure to look for that. I will be back Wednesday. I might have finished The Time Machine by H.G. Wells, which I'm reading right now, so I'll probably have a short review of that, but if not, then that'll be available next Monday. See you guys.